to it. Sam, go ahead.
GL scored them second chance points, 19-0, won the game by 19. Obviously, that's a huge stat. How big was that, keeping them off the glass and dominating the glass the way you did?
Yeah, just the fact that they only had one offensive rebound and it was a team rebound. So not one. I don't think I've ever been in a game when an opposing team, no individual has an offensive rebound. So I think that's really the separation in the game. We have the same turnovers. They shot the ball pretty well. We shot the ball, pretty well. Did some things. Obviously, we go to the free throw line more, but we're going to do that with Zach, down there. But yeah, just our ability to rebound, our ability to get it inside. We had some really good looks that didn't go down for us, and so that's what we just got to keep doing. But there's no doubt that was a big part of the game.
It was a great start defensively, and then Marshall kind of got going. Was
Right.
that him on a heater, or was that
I think a little bit of
breakdowns
both.
on your part?
Yeah, I think you want to give him credit. Like he gets the nod when Estrada goes out of the game, and he steps up. And he's had a couple individual games this year. I think Middle Tennessee State, and then Princeton. If I'm not off the chart there, where he had 6 field goals in both those games. And I watched the middle game, and he's just aggressive. He's looking for his, and he has to be one of those guys that's rhythm. So we told him when he got the nod to start that this guy can really score. And you got to be there with him, but give him credit. I thought our concentration was lacking, especially coming off the bench. We've started games where our starters either turned it over or missed shots, and we weren't all there to start a game. Then our benches came in and really got us going. And I thought tonight the starters, really got us going. I think it was 29-8. Really, the game's equal after that. I don't know if it was 29-8 or 28-9. I don't know why it's sticking in my head, but the game's equal after that. The first 10 minutes of the game, we dominated it, and then for 30 minutes, it's a straight-up basketball game. And for a team that doesn't have a guy that's player of the year in their conference, averaging 23 points, that controls the basketball, Estrada's a fabulous player. Not to have him, they're going to be really good. That's an NCAA tournament team right there when you put Estrada back in there.
Fletcher didn't have a good shooting night, but what does he do with his ability to play off screens at full speed?
Yeah, you got to have guys that can move and be able to come off of screens and make plays and make passes, make shots. But just his ability to kind of understand things. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he knows angles. So when he can put the ball on the deck and he gets an angle, he can make passes and he can make shots. He's got a pretty good intermediate game, even though it hasn't come out a lot because he hasn't had as many opportunities. But he's really good with his pull-up, and he's got a little floater there. But just, high basketball IQ and very competitive, and a really good balance for us. Him and Braden, I think they've shown that they do a good job of feeding off each other.
Matt, coach after coach that you've played against say similar thing about Zach. There's no other player in the country quite like him.
Right.
What's it like to coach a team that has a player that there's no one else in the country quite like?
Yeah. Well, I like it because, they can't take somebody on their team and really practice for 2 or 3 days, and they can get a feel for it. I compare it to a great pressing team. So you take a great pressing team, and then you try to work on, that press in your practice, and you're not a pressing team. And so you'll put 6 or 7 guys out there, and you'll do crazy stuff because you're trying to get it to where it's going to be the same as the game, but it's never as the same as a game. Playing Florida State and the way they play and the way they switch and the way they do things, it's always taken us about a half to adjust to it. And sometimes it's been too late. That half has been too late for us, because we've been down against them. I think it's the same thing for him, for those guys that are guarding him. I thought their 2 big guys really played hard. I thought they really gave a great effort and battled him and was on him. And sometimes guys give into it. And I thought both those guys played. And with that being said, he had 23 and 18, And so, but there's no way that they can get in practice and really know what's coming. You can watch film and see that. Guys his size don't go after every rebound. He goes after every rebound. He gives an effort. He gives a great effort. He's just not one of those big dudes that sits there and scores baskets because he's big. He's got a good skill level and he's got a good motor.
I think you stayed with Zach through the first 10 minutes of the game. Do you normally do that?
No, but I normally have one more player.
So that wasn't you trying to get a little more out of him or anything?
No, I'm just trying to keep the best player in the game. It's a good, if you ever get your own team, guys, keep your best player in the game.
That's why we're sitting over here.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on Fletcher coming off screens. You have, other than Zach, you don't have a guy that's going to consistently give you 15, 20 points. Probably it's going to be different guys every night.
Right.
But I think you have a lot of guys that are just basketball savvy. Maybe the best collection you've had, in terms of top to bottom here. How important is that to your success? It's just the guys like the Brian Waddells, the guys that
Right.
have basketball minds and come in here and just understand the game.
Yeah, I think, people get lost when they see people play 10 to 15 minutes a game and they wonder why they don't do certain things. They've been sitting over there for 20 minutes cold. And now they got to come in and play a role and do things and help your team win. So that is a really hard role to play. But I think the balance that we have, whether it's Fletcher or it's Braden or Caleb or it's Trey or Mason Gillis, Brandon Newman, who's really been good and did some really good things for us again tonight. And I'm missing obviously 2 or 3 other guys, but I think we're going to have that throughout the year, and I think that's a good thing, especially when you get on the road. You can put Trey Kaufman in there at the 4, and he can get post-up baskets. Mason Gillis can stretch the defense. Caleb can do both, and obviously Trey Kaufman showed today that he can do both also. So when you look at our front line, we have some good pieces to balance out Zach, and then with Ethan, Braden, and Fletch, all 3 of those guys are really good passers, and where they should have good assist turnover ratios. And then you bring someone like Brandon off the bench who can really score the basketball. And David Jenkins just hasn't gotten going yet. And we got to try to get him some shots because he can get going and change the game with his ability to shoot the basketball. And then you mentioned Brian, who does a lot of little things for us, who's really just kind of coming into his own. What he's trying to recover from with his ACL and his MCL surgery.
Trey had a really good offensive game, but had 4 fouls, I think, in his first
Yeah.
13 minutes. What did you see on the defensive end that got
Yeah, the one, he just, on 2 of them, he got away from his post-D rules and just let the guy get it, and then ends up getting a foul. On the one, they absolutely blew it. He gets cracked 2 different times. Then at the end of the play, as they're flailing, they call a foul on him. That's what the ref kept explaining to me. Refs don't explain good calls. That's not the way it works. He caught the tail end of it. He was the outside guy. The guy on the baseline just ignored. He got cracked. And so the one was bad luck, but the other 2, 2 and 4 were just post-D. He just got away from doing what he normally does. You got to keep the ball out of there. If not, you got to give resistance. So. But you learn, you go back and watch tape and you learn from that, and you don't let it happen again.
I don't know if your team is forcing a ton of turnovers, but Ethan blocks 2 jump shots to start the game,
Right.
one-on-one with his guy. You've had a lot of guys reach in at the last second, help defense to knock the ball out off the other team.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of speak to this team's, tenacity, kind of its disruptiveness?
Yeah. Well, more than anything, it's just keep making the play, keep defending. If you get behind in a rotation, trying to just fly around and get some good contests. I thought at the start of the game we really did a good job contesting shots. And, the one play that you're talking about is just anybody that can drive the basketball that's a center is going to drive Zach, right? Mm-hmm. You saw a couple of those layups they scored, but we also got 3 or 4 deflections for them doing the same thing. So just having awareness, I think we have pretty good awareness and understanding when guys are driving the basketball. What gets tough is when they spread you out and everybody can shoot.
Yeah.
That's where you can't give as much help. But when you can give some help or they turn a blind eye to you, there you really got to pounce on that basketball.
With Zach, at the end of the game, when you look at the box score, is there one number you always look at first with him that you're most interested in this
Yeah, 2 things, rebounds and turnovers. Because, he has a lot of opportunities. So other night, I don't think he had any turnovers. Today he had 2. That's pretty good for how many times he gets it. It's like a point guard, the greatest point guards that are out there. You know what I mean? They're going to turn over something. The ball's just in their hands forever. I like talking to those guys, treat turnovers like interceptions in football. There's never been a quarterback who played football that said, it's okay. It's just a pick 6. Never. It's just a turnover, just an interception, no big deal. Because that's what flips football games. Well, basketball, there's more possession, so it's not the same. You're just going to turn it over and they get 2 points. but enough of them, you know, can hurt you. But that's not the way you should feel as a player. You know, as a player, you should look at it that the same way. Sometimes you're trying to do the right thing, and you turn the basketball over. So, but yeah, with Zach, that's the number one thing I look at is the turnovers, and then look at the rebounds. Because that's, if he doesn't turn it over and he dominates the glass, he's put you in a really good position.
Brian, last one.
I know the second half got a little ragged, but I think you probably went about 30 minutes with like one turnover. With youth in your backcourt and with all the crazy stuff people are trying to do against Zach, what does it kind of say about your team's kind of focus on that very important part of the game?
Right. Yeah, you know, anytime you put yourself in position to game and you get up 20, you get in those positions, you know, you want to extend your lead. But I think their stinginess and their competitiveness, you know, kept it, you know, right around 20 right there. But, you know, sometimes he doesn't get a chance to play with different people in different lineups. And so we tried David Jenkins a little bit more with Braden, you know, a couple times in the game. But then Zach gets different guys with him. You know, Mason's a guy that, you know, can really mesh and stretch the defense, and so can those other two, you know, guys in Trey. And then, but no, we're just, you know, trying to utilize him to the best of our abilities, but also balance things out. Like people say, well, you just can't, you know, rely, you know, totally on him. Well, if he can catch the basketball down there, it makes sense for us to deliver. So, thank you.
Thank you.